So I've been thinking a lot about how you drive change inside large organizations, having conversations with various people about what's the right way to drive or enable change. There's some leaders that really like pushing, or what we call the push transformation, where you are actually creating mandates, having launch events, and really asking people to engage in the behavior that you want them to engage in. Maybe sometimes even using some incentives to motivate people to do the work that you would like them to do. I've also been advocating for the opposite of that, something I call the pull transformation, where you focus on creating momentum, some kind of gravity that pulls people in. You could do a combination of both, and if you do a combination of both, then what you're really focused on is creating momentum, which is this change that starts to drive itself after a while. Because if you don't create momentum, you'll still have to keep pushing, and that's not something you want to do if you want to make the change stick. And so the way you create momentum is really thinking about how you design the activities that you're doing so that those activities create visible results, and then those visible results create buy-in. And that's a flywheel that you can keep turning and pushing and turning and pushing, because as you create buy-in, more and more people join the movement, and then that allows you to do more activities that create more visible results that then create more buy-in. And then after a while, you get to this tipping point where you get breakthrough, and then the momentum becomes self-sustaining. So the question then becomes, if that's our goal, how do you get started? If you think about driving change as the creation of momentum, you can start to steal other ideas from physics. One idea that I like from physics is the idea of leverage. What small moves can you do that can have an outsized effect on the organization? You can think about leverage as like, putting a long stick on a nice fulcrum and then moving a rock. And so how do you actually do that? So as you're planning change, you have to think about the actions you can do, the activities you can do that will have the biggest effect on starting the movement going. One thing you could do, for example, is identify early adopters, people that are already bought into the change, and start working with them. One of my favorite examples of leverage is something that Claudia Kochka did when she was working at P&G. She wanted to drive design thinking, but rather than start with the big design thinking movement, she asked leaders if she could work on an already existing challenge. You see, that's a way to get started. And then the leaders were like, sure, you can work with the Mr. Clean brand and make that brand better. And as she succeeded with improving the Mr. Clean brand, that brought her the credibility and legitimacy to start driving more radical change. And so she found a spot of leverage to start doing the work. And I would encourage you to do the same. Find a way to get started so that you can start to build the momentum that allows you to then create sustainable change over time.